Welcome to Female Voices, Life and Loss, a podcast dedicated to women from all walks of life. Whether you're navigating through loss, seeking growth, or simply looking for a place to feel understood, you've come to the right space. Each week, we provide compassionate guidance, share diverse stories, and offer practical advice to help you heal, grow, and thrive. No matter where you are on your journey, we're here to walk with you. Let's grow together. Okay, welcome. Today, I'm Wayna, and I have the pleasure of sitting down with Miss Carol and Mayfair Fletcher.
Yes. And you can drop the Mayfield. It's just Fletcher.
All right, Fletcher. So let me give my introduction of our guest. So today's guest is a woman of resilience, faith, transformation. She's a wife, she's a mother of 5 in a blended family. She embraces the beauty and challenges of love and growth. With a background in advertising at iHeart Media, she now serves as a sales director in the beauty industry, not just selling products, but building confidence and self worth. Her mission is to empower women to discover themselves, gain financial independence, and create a supportive community. Guided by faith, she believes that what feels like an ending can be a powerful new beginning. So, welcome our guest, Miss Carol, a true advocate for transformation and empowerment.
Wow. Thank
Yeah,
you.
how do we know each other? I can't even remember how we met each other.
It literally was through my business.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to think if I met you in your work environment. I'm
Yeah, I
almost
can't
certain I
remember.
do. I'm sure I met you in your work environment at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like I so often do to make a connection with women, I will ask if I can give you my business card and ask, just bless you. Bless,
Thank you.
ask you.
Yeah, I don't remember. I can't usually my memory's pretty good, but that one it escapes me. So we chatted. I know we went to Starbucks or something and chatted.
Mhm.
And then Carol mentored me and did a couple of weddings with me, where I did the makeup for the brides and realized that woo, that's a lot. So welcome. So we're gonna talk a little bit about your personal journey and transformation. So can you take us back to a defining moment in your life that shaped who you are today?
Um, it was really somewhat of a dark period. I have
Mm,
always been a person that um, planned my
mhm,
life.
mhm.
Kind of grew up in somewhat of a dysfunctional environment.
Ooh, preach.
Yeah, and you know what? But all things work together for the good.
Won't he do it? Mhm,
Certainly know that now. But
mhm,
because of the dysfunctionality, it was such a huge need for me to be able to control my environment, control
mm,
situations as much as I could to minimize
mhm.
any future
Right. I'm with
pain
you.
disruption.
I'm with you.
So, that being said, I had kind of planned this perfect life. I planned to go to college and to graduate and to meet the perfect husband and to have a family and the new home with the white picket fence and the two
Mhm,
kids and the dog. Oh, I planned it. Planned it.
mhm, mhm,
And God blessed. I
mhm.
literally had all of that. But what I hadn't planned for was a divorce
Mm,
after being married and together 22 years.
bless
I
you.
was thinking that was for life, right? Mm.
Right, 22 years.
Yeah, yeah. But it happened, and once I got over the shock, and it certainly was a grieving period for me because it
Mhm,
was a huge loss.
mhm,
And once I got over that, I just prayed and I just asked God to bring me something that would allow me to remain in the home because I didn't want to further disrupt the life of my children by having to.
Mm-hmm.
We had built this home. This is what they were accustomed to. And so I wanted to remain in the home.
Mm-hmm.
But that would require some more money. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you. Mm-hmm.
Only so many hours in a day. I was
Yeah.
working 10, 12 hours a day in a really
Mm.
paced sales environment, working for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I needed something with flexibility, you know,
Right.
something that would allow me to be able to schedule my work around my life and my other.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
fast forward, went to a networking event, hoping to drum up more advertising clients for
Mm-hmm.
my sales business, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of connected with a lady whose spirit I really liked her a lot. I loved her energy, I loved her passion for people, and I said, man, I don't know what to do, but I
Mm-hmm.
really want to help you. She gave me her card, and I was just,
Mm-hmm.
oh no, not one of those.
Right. Another sales.
That
Mhm.
salesperson want to sell me
Yeah.
skincare and all of this.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Oh my gosh. But I'm gonna tell you what I have also learned along this journey is that which I have resisted the most, Wayna, has been the thing that I probably needed the most in my life. I had no
Resisted.
idea, you
Okay.
know, no idea the impact that that lady would have. But I had promised her that I would support her, being a woman of my word. I did just
Mm-hmm.
that. I went to her home. I allowed her to demo her products and pamper me, and I literally fell in love with the products.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, so that kind of started my introduction to this beauty platform.
Mm-hmm.
But no way did I really see myself doing it because you see, I was this college grad, I was this advertising executive, and I
Mm-hmm.
that is like peddling product. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm with you.
It was kind of like, you know,
I'm above that.
this,
Mm.
uh,
Oh, what how the Lord works, don't he?
I'm telling you, and I remember being on my knees literally and just praying, asking God. I said, God, I've just been praying this prayer of send me something that I
Mhm.
can do to bring more income into my home that wouldn't take me out of, you know.
Mhm. Mhm.
Luana, I'm telling you, as plain as day, I heard him say, I've already sent it to you, but you think you're too good.
Oof. Oof. Ouch.
I mean,
Hurts. Hurts.
heard him say,
Yeah.
heard him say it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love some things that you kind of touched on. Like one of them is just being a planner and that need growing out of a childhood that I could not control.
Right.
And I could not control what was happening to me. And you know how they say you want to plan, you want to tell God a joke, tell him your plans.
Yes, yes.
So he's like, "Ooh, okay, I thought I control everything, I could paint this beautiful picture." And then the bottom falls out and you're like, what just happened? Um, and then I love how you were talking about just taking care of your children after the divorce. Let's kind of lean into some of that. Like, what did that look like to take care of your children? You didn't want to move them out your home. You wanted to keep some semblance of normalcy.
Crazy. You know, just crazy because literally at that point, my son was in elementary school. He was about 11. My daughter was 15.
Mm-hmm.
And so the way our household was set up, based off of schedules and all of that,
Mm-hmm.
my ex husband would take my daughter to school and I would really get my son off. So, it
Mm-hmm.
was something that I just kind of didn't even think about, just kind of,
Yeah, you wouldn't. Yeah.
that person is gone now. So, how does she get to school?
Mm-hmm.
She's in one direction, he was in another. She had to be there at like 7:30 in the morning. He
Mm-hmm.
didn't have to be there until 8:30. So literally, what it looked like was putting my 15-year-old on a Metrolink
Mm-hmm.
6:30 in the morning
Mm-hmm.
while my son was at home, calling him while I'm at the Metrolink, saying, "Time to get up, time to start
Mm-hmm.
getting ready." Dash back home, then help him finish getting dressed, get him
Mm-hmm.
off to school, get to, my place of employment,
Mhm.
then get her, then he's playing football and other extra, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Mhm.
Easy. But God, that's all I know. But God,
Yeah, it's challenging because your kids kind of take it on, that they did something wrong, and mom and dad are getting along because of me, and maybe if I be this perfect person, then they'll figure it out, or
that's
and
so
I don't know if your kids went through any of
yeah. I
that.
mean, they really did in different ways. And so
Mhm.
and I know that my daughter had a different relationship with her dad than my son did. My son was diagnosed with juvenile diabetes when he was 2.
Mm.
Um,
Mhm.
and so that kind of created an environment where my husband chose to be the main caregiver for our son.
Oh, okay.
And so there was, when you are the caregiver of a person, there's a closer bond that kind of
Mm. Mhm.
so my son recognized that, was dependent upon it, and that's all he saw was his dad being a really good provider and caregiver.
Mhm. Mhm.
He certainly was. Uh,
Mm.
but it also kind of compromised his relationship with our daughter because he had such a level. She was healthy, she was
Mhm.
very smart, very bright. Uh,
Mhm.
so the expectations as what was I think a little bit harder on her
Mhm.
son, and so
Yeah.
felt like because she wasn't that perfect person because there was this transition from going to elementary school to high school
Mhm.
that she might have disappointed us or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Aw. Mhm.
My son
Yeah.
and is like, I don't get it. We have the perfect life here. Everything
Right. What's going
we
on?
just get divorced. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
There, but
Ain't that so crazy? They just have their own, they're their own individual persons, and they just think, how they think. Sometimes it's completely different.
mhm,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, and divorce, it's hard. It's a death, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
It's a death of a dream, it's a death or opportunity, I don't know if you were blindsided, it's just like, "Whoa, where is this coming from?" How did you take care of yourself during that time?
And no, I wasn't blindsided.
Oh,
Unfortunately,
okay.
it was something that kind of was evolving.
Mhm.
But Wayne, I'm not a quitter. I'm not
Mhm.
a quitter, and
Mhm.
I just was determined that I wasn't going to be that statistic. But the
Mhm.
world just paints such an ugly picture sometimes on single moms, and that's a subject and discussion for another day. But I just didn't want my children to grow up with that stigma. I didn't want
Mhm.
that stigma, and so I was just determined. But unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Prayer, contemplation. I mean, literally, I have to tell this story because for those of you that may not feel like you get clear direction, guidance, or communication from God, all I can say
Mhm.
is just keep seeking Him
Mhm.
because He truly uh, does hear and answer prayer. And I remember
Mhm.
taking off from work one day and just being just really down and discouraged, needing direction, not knowing where to go, didn't want to
Mhm.
disappoint God by getting
Yeah.
divorced, but I knew that I could not remain in an environment that was not emotionally healthy.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I just remember sitting at my table and just saying, God, if you just give me a sign, just give me a sign that it's okay to go through with this divorce. I just
Mm.
give me a
Mhm. Mhm.
And so I remember being at home and the phone rang and it was the radio station and they were calling and they said, oh, we need you to come in. You got to write this commercial. This client wants to get on the air tomorrow. And I'm just like, there has to be someone else. I am having
Mhm.
a mental breakdown.
Mhm.
That's what I'm thinking,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Has to be someone else to write this commercial. Please don't disrupt, my day, my peace.
Mhm. Mhm.
Sorry, you got to do it. It's one of your clients. And so begrudgingly, I hopped in the car. I drove to the radio station to write this commercial for this.
Mm-hmm.
As I was driving in, there was a church where myself and several of the employees at iHeart Media, where we would meet for a midweek Bible study.
Mm-hmm.
This church, and it was close to the radio station. So I'm driving
Mm-hmm.
and I passed this church, and there's a sign on this church. You know how the church have the different signs and inspirational messages. This message on this day said, if you are looking for a sign from God, this is it. And man, when I saw that, I literally, I mean, I knew it was for me because it was a church where we would meet for Bible study.
Mm-hmm.
I just prayed and asked God for a sign. And I would never, I was one of those persons that say, God never speaks to me. I never hear from God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he made it so plain and so
Mm-hmm.
clear.
Mm-hmm.
And moving forward, I knew that that was God because everything from that point on just worked according to the way that, God had intended. There
Mm-hmm.
was no disruption in our household and our family. My ex-husband willingly, moved out, and we,
Mm-hmm.
kind of went through the process. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, um, that gave me a sense of peace, Wayna, and
Mm-hmm.
how I got through the difficult time. It was truly through my faith. It was truly,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a lesson for my kids. People will just
Yeah.
you,
Mm-hmm.
but God
We're
won't.
human, you know.
Yeah, I mean, they just will. And so it's
Mm-hmm.
an opportunity for all of us to strengthen our faith, to honor some of the words that my mother had given me when she was alive. And she would always say, to thine own self be true. And so, yeah, being true to myself.
And I know what you feel by, by saying not being a statistic.
Mm,
Because I married my first husband just kind of off that same thing.
mm,
I don't want my son born out of wedlock. I don't want him in a broken home. But I knew, which is so funny, because I was young. I was 24. But I knew that it wasn't the right
yeah.
setup.
Mm,
I knew it wasn't completely right
mm,
because I was 9 months pregnant, when we got married, because I didn't really want to get married. I was like,
yes.
"Oh,
Yes.
whatever." And then my girlfriend was with me because we had my bridal shower, baby shower, same thing,
Mm,
And I was mad because everybody went out and they wouldn't take me out with them. And they were like, "We're not taking you out. You're gonna get hurt. You can get hurt. What is going on with you?" No, like no. And I'm like, "Well, I want to go." So my girlfriend, bless her, Shannon, she sat with me at the Applebee's or something,
yes.
so I can feel like I had something to do.
Thank
But
God
what
for
I told
blessing.
her was, I said, "I'm gonna take this one for the team."
Yeah.
And she was like, "Yeah, he ain't really doing everything." I said, "He not, but I'm gonna go ahead and take it for the team." I said, "I don't want to ever see my son and say I didn't try."
Yeah.
you know and I was okay with knowing I tried.
Mm,
I tried my best. And then just thinking about going through the divorce and looking for a sign, because when we separated, for myself, it was hard because I had no support. Nobody was supporting that. And then it was one lady, she's like my play mom, Miss Bobby. She's the only person that I remember who asked me, was I okay?
right.
Like that was such a powerful thing, because no one, even my family who were ministers, they was like, "Well, God don't like divorce."
Mm.
And I'm like, "Is that helpful?"
Oh,
you know,
I know.
so, but she was the only one. She just said, "Oh, baby, how are you?
Yeah.
How are you?"
Right. Right.
Like, and the crazy part, I was at her sister's funeral and she took time away from that to say, "How are you in this moment?"
I'm gonna tell you, during some of the darkest periods in my life,
Mhm.
so many lessons when you're in the valley. You know,
Mhm.
if you're certainly willing to
Mhm.
learn them, but so many lessons. And one of the lessons that God revealed to me when I was really kind of experiencing the loss of just back to back family members passing. just had this expectation, my immediate family, just to kind of come together and we
Yeah,
knock
me too.
out and
I'm
we
with you.
hug,
Yeah.
blah blah blah. But it didn't happen like that. But I've come to understand that people, respond to death in different ways. Everybody doesn't manage it the same. So my expectations wasn't their expectation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Discovered what I discovered
Mhm.
during that time.
Mhm.
God will give you what you need. It may not who you think, like your Miss Bobby. It
Mhm.
wasn't your immediate family, or it wasn't maybe some very close friends, but He will give us what we need during that period. So I
Mhm.
learned to accept whomever is willing to be supported, supportive.
So true. Yeah.
It may not be who I was thinking, and I'm like, man, I just can't believe, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
Mhm.
they may not have the capacity to do it.
Yeah.
Whatever, but I'm
And I
just
guess I'm not on the other side yet, because I'm like, I would have did it for you. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? I would have showed up for
yeah,
you
yeah.
had you had something this horrible happen to you.
It doesn't lessen the pain, but I'm grateful for not having to go through it alone.
Mhm.
Somebody kind of showed up, and it wasn't who I had hoped or expected, but just grateful
Mhm.
didn't have to go through it alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I did, she extended that olive branch just that one time, but I didn't even see her. I don't even think I saw her anymore after that.
isn't that something?
Yeah, I just saw her probably in the last few years. So I
Yeah,
haven't even seen her in like 15 years.
yeah. That was a little nudging. That was true.
Yeah,
That,
yeah,
yeah,
you're on the right
yeah,
path. And you know what? I can't even lie. The Lord, I'm with you. The Lord walks with me. He talks with me. To the point I knew my son was going to pass.
yeah.
I had a vision. He gave it to me. I don't know why he gave it to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I have no clue. I knew 2 weeks before something was getting ready to happen. So I'm just like, okay, it's God's will.
Amen. I'm telling you.
So that's how it was for me. But just how did you navigate rebuilding, your identity, your self-worth after, all of these, like God got me through, he got me with the flexible schedule for my babes, I'm making the money to keep us afloat. How did you do all the other work, that
You know
comes with
what? That is such a great question. And as I really look back during that period, and it's kind of what I have used to help coach other women
it?
in
Mhm.
this business and in life. And that is there has to be, Wayna, a compelling why.
Mhm.
It
Yeah,
just
that's
has
true.
to be.
Mhm.
It did. I was broken when I was going through a divorce. I was left with a lot of debt. I was left with a
Mhm.
mortgage that I was accustomed to having two people pay for. Now it's all on me.
Mhm.
Whatever. I mean, everything. That was overwhelming. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But thank God that I had my health and my strength,
Mhm.
and that I discovered this opportunity that blessed beyond measure. That I said
Mhm.
yes in the midst of wanting to say no. But what
Mhm.
kept me going and what really probably inspired the yes was my children. They were my
Mhm.
they were
Mhm.
my why. They didn't ask for this. And I know how
Right.
difficult my life was. I didn't want that difficult life for my children. I didn't want
Mhm.
to coddle them or
Mhm.
um, overprotect them. But
Right, because this like we're in a fallen world.
yeah,
Yeah.
man. But I didn't want them to have to experience the hardship, the financial hardship that I went through as a
Mhm.
kid. And so, yeah, they were my why. And I knew that if it was to be, it was up to me. And so I just got my hustle on and I had to figure out a way to supplement this income.
Mhm.
I'm telling you, skills that I didn't even know I had kicked in.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's called survival. And I think
Right.
so many of us don't even realize what we are made of until we're
Yeah.
tested, you
Yeah.
know? And so
Yeah.
that really started it. So they were my why. And
Mhm.
I was tired. I didn't want to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, or
Yeah.
I didn't want to have to run here,
I'm with
run
you.
there, show up at every doggone activity. And, I mean, I didn't want to do that. But every time I looked at them and I knew that they were counting on me,
Mhm.
I just had to figure it out and make it work.
Yeah, and the crazy part is that sentence you just said, I said that to my baby when I first my oldest, when I first had him. I was sitting in the hospital by myself.
Mm,
My mom and sister lived in California. And so my mom came in town when we got married, but she couldn't come back,
yeah.
because the baby came, a few weeks. But I just looked at him, because my husband at that time, his mom just had heart surgery too, so we're both in the
Oh,
hospital.
my
And
goodness.
so he's trying to, visit her, and yada yada. And I just said, man, I just looked at my baby. I said, well, it's me and you, kid. I don't know if this guy's gonna be here or not, you know. And I
Yeah.
was like, it's me and you. So I didn't have a lot of the financial resources when my son was growing up, because I just took whatever was flexible enough so I could be with my child. So he went to work with me probably the first 8 years of his life. I could drop him off at school. I could pick him up from school. My job had allowed me that flexibility. He could stay at my job with me till I got done, because that was, more important to me. I was like, because if I'm working two jobs and I work in all this and
Mm.
something happens to him while I'm working to make this money, and now his life is, because I come from my own traumatic background, but I'm like, Lord, he can't be a Me Too kid. Like, I can't,
Okay.
no.
Wow.
Just like, no. He hated it though, because I was just like a hover, like, no, no, no. And now when he got to college, oh my God, the Lord just transformation. Because he's
Yeah.
just like, I get it. Like high school, he started putting it together. Like, okay, this is why she did that. This why she did this.
Awesome. Isn't that
Oh,
awesome?
it was so
Able
beautiful to watch the
to see the
Lord work.
fruits of your labor. OMG.
Oh no, he is an amazing young man. He's 21 and he's about to graduate from college, and he's
Wow.
going to grad school by force a little bit. So being a mom, for me, I didn't know I was a mom, because growing up, all I saw was work.
Yeah.
It's work.
Yeah.
That doesn't look fun. None
Yeah.
of my family looked fun. They didn't look happy. They just looked like, I got to do this. I got to do it. But the Lord, I tell you, the Lord just softened my heart. I tell you, won't he do it? That's the only
Yes.
reason I'm married again now.
Yes. Same here.
What?
Same.
I was like, I am not getting married again. It is work. I
Oh, wait.
just
My
want
husband.
a person to do laundry and got to talk over every decision.
But you know what? Honest to goodness, I truly have a partner this time.
Hmm.
He's truly my partner.
I
And
love that.
I knew from day one that he was probably going to be it, because I
Hmm.
remember when we met, he came to the radio station to
Hmm.
purchase a car from one of the employees that was selling it.
Hmm.
And so he saw me walk down the hall, and he said, "Who is that?" One of the
Hmm.
one of the on-air announcers, in fact, was a good friend of his, and so they were talking. And he said, "Who is that?" And so he says, "Hey, that's Carol Mayfield at the time."
Hmm.
And he said, "Really nice girl, but you don't want to meet her. She's going through an ugly divorce." And he said, "Look, I don't want to hear any of that." He said, "Just give me her information."
Oh, okay. Up
And
for a challenge, sure.
and so he reached out to me at the station. Wayna sent flowers. I'm ignoring them. I am like, He had, handwritten notes
Mhm.
in the flowers.
Aw.
Oh, and I said, no, no, no. I know he had to send. I can't even remember how many sets of flowers. And but like you, I am just like, This divorce was kind of still fresh, and
Mhm.
I just couldn't see myself starting a relationship. But I
Oh,
think the
right.
fact that he loved the challenge, like you said, the fact that he
Oh,
is,
my husband too. His
yeah,
exact words were,
yeah,
"I love a
was
challenge."
okay. I love that. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that speaks volume. Didn't listen to what other people said, wanted to find out
Which
for
was very
myself.
mature, you
Yeah,
know?
and so 23 years later, here we are. So,
Ah, you're like, beautiful, beautiful.
yeah.
So, yeah, that was my husband kind of said the same thing, but it wasn't, I was single for 10 years. And I remember you said to me, gosh, it might have been the year before I met him.
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, ooh, because came to one of Women's Day events and you were like, ooh, like you are gorgeous. And I'm like, yeah, like, what's that mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't landing on nobody. She's like, oh, and you were like, oh, it's coming. It's
Oh
coming.
yeah.
Which,
Inside it out, though, I
mm.
think your inner beauty just emulated outwardly. So, you
Oh, that
know,
is sweet.
I mean, it's so true. And then that natural, gorgeous
Yeah.
beauty,
So,
I
oh,
mean, they collided, and I was
look,
just like,
I'm feeling built up right now. My self-esteem is getting higher as we speak.
well, that's real talk, sweetheart. I mean,
But you just never know how you land on people sometimes.
no,
Mostly because my family is a little challenging.
mhm,
And so they're not doing the work to stay balanced.
yeah,
So I often get just a reaction, not a logical, let me get to know you. Let me see how you thinking. I ain't been around you in a while. Let me see what's new, what's good. So you just don't get that a lot from a lot of people who want to take the time to nurture and build a relationship.
you know what? That's what I plan to change
Mm-hmm.
through this.
Yes, with
It,
your yeah.
it is. It truly is something I plan to change. I heard something today, the one I have to
Mhm.
share too.
Okay.
Um, I am a fan, John Maxwell. I don't know if
I
you're
don't know if I
familiar
know
with
John Maxwell. Tell me about him.
he is a pastor, but more importantly, he is a motivational, inspirational trainer.
Yeah, I'm sure I've read some
Yeah,
of
for
his.
those in leadership. So he does leadership training. Is
Mhm.
what he basically does. And man, such a wise man, and has
Mhm.
written just numerous books on leadership.
Mhm.
But one of the things I heard him say, and it mirrored my passion for what I do. And he says, you know, every day when I get up, I do five things.
Mhm.
Every day I do this, and I try to do this consistently. And he says, number one, I try to bring value to people's lives.
Mhm.
Every
Mhm.
day, I try to bring value to people's lives. He said,
Mhm.
number two, every day, I think of ways that I can bring value
Mhm.
to other people's lives.
Mhm.
You know, number three, he says, I look for ways
Mhm.
that I can bring value to other people's lives.
Mhm.
Number four, he says, every day, I do things that brings value to other people's lives. And number five, I encourage others to do things that brings value to other people's lives.
Mhm.
And I heard that and I said, I know it's redundant and I know that it just sounds so, you know, warm and fuzzy. But
Mhm.
honestly, that's my passion. I mean,
Well,
that's
I don't know that I've ever had a blueprint, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? But I'm just naturally one of those kind of people.
Mm-hmm.
If I know something that I think you might,
Yes.
help you, or if I need to connect you to a networking partner that could help your business or you help their business, so my mind always works like that. I'm like a connector, is what one of my
Absolutely.
supervisors
But you
called
know
me.
what? A
Uh-huh.
lot of people aren't. A lot of people aren't. And that was something that I had to learn because it came
Mm.
so natural for me. And I'm
Right.
like,
So you just assume.
you
Yeah.
just kind of assume. But they're not. And so
Mhm.
some of us have to wake up with intentionality
Mhm.
to bring value to other people's
Mhm.
lives and not let it all be about me. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes. But I feel that's
Woo!
our culture,
Woe is me. Woe is me. This is happening to me. I'm just me. And don't
yeah,
you feel better when you help somebody else and do something for somebody else?
I journey to say some of those people are ones that did not get a good attachment to their parent. So they're always hungry.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
no matter if you spend 40 hours dedicated to them, it
yeah.
still ain't enough.
Right.
Some of those people. I get it. I'm naturally one of those
Yeah,
people as
I'm telling
well.
you. And so
Yeah.
this is what I learned. And I'm gonna go back to this because I think that there's a message in this too.
Mhm.
I didn't go to school for skincare cosmetics.
Mhm.
Wasn't really into it. I wasn't really passionate about it. It wasn't anywhere in my being
Mhm.
want to do that as a side hustle, as a career, as a profession, none of that. So when it was introduced to me as an option, to bring more money into my household, I was like, oh no, that is not, what I desire to do. I like, connecting with other women.
Mhm.
I like adding value to them. I like kind of coaching and mentoring and inspiring. All of these things I enjoy doing.
Mhm.
God showed me how I can do the same thing and transfer those same skill sets using a
Yeah,
beauty.
I was just gonna say all of that sounds like a natural fit into what you're doing.
But you know how we miss
But
it though? How we miss it? Because it's not packaged exactly how we think it should be packaged. Oh no, I don't want to do that. I want to do A, B, C, D. And God said, you're doing all of that right here. Right here.
mhm.
You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But you can't see the
Definitely.
forest from the trees. You can't.
Yeah, and that's how you know it's kind of a God moment because you're like, I never even thought about doing this before. I just kind of fell in it, kind of thing. So you're like, oh, so that's where I'm supposed to be. Um,
I mean,
but thinking about where you're supposed to be, thinking about the skill sets, thinking about what kind of man your husband is, that you share this life with.
hmm
What are some of the joys and the challenges of being a wife and a mother and a stepmom and and all those
all
things?
of that. Yeah. I'm gonna go back to what my mother said: "To thine own self be true." Not
Mhm.
losing yourself
Yeah.
in the midst
Mhm.
of all of that,
Yeah.
because I almost think by nature, and this is a very generalized statement, and obviously there are exceptions, and everybody is not like this, but I do feel like innately women uh, are kind of like people pleasers. We
We're trained.
I
Yes.
think we, I mean, there are exceptions to every rule, but I think
Yeah.
innately, we want people to be happy. We want, we're caregivers, we're nurturers, people pleasers.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I mean, I
Yeah.
think that society kind of puts an ugly twist on it and makes us say, oh, I'm not like that. But I think that those are great qualities. The problem is that we tend to go overboard in our caregiving, in our nurturing, in our people pleasing, and we neglect self. When you
Yeah.
neglect
Yeah.
self,
Yeah.
that turns into resentment. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And so,
Mhm.
you know, um, I still am challenged with balance. I don't know if there is such a thing as balance. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
one thing I do know that I gotta take care of self first.
Mhm.
First,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
before
sure I had that.
before I
Yeah.
do. I mean, I do, because I can't pour from an empty well. I can't pour from
Mhm.
an empty well. And to me, it was like, oh, I just don't have time to do the things that I like to do because I got to do this, 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 and this. That's where I came from.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now it's like this, and this don't get done until I do me. I mean,
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
I just have to. And what does that look
Yeah.
like? Every
Yeah.
morning,
Mhm.
I wake up, I have a prayer room.
Mhm.
So I'm down there every single morning.
Mhm.
I got to get my feel. I need to hear from God. I need His direction. I need His guidance. Uh,
Mhm.
I need to just reflect on my thankfulness and being grateful. And
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Because that fuels me. That fuels.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's the
That's
kind
so
of
good.
thing my husband does every morning. So
Wow. That's so
he does
good.
the same thing. He's way more emotionally balanced, you know.
Yeah.
'Cause he does his gratitude, he prays, he
Wow.
does all those things.
Wow.
But like you said, I'm sure I was that kind of mom, especially my second time around
Yeah.
getting married. That I'm trying to blend this family. We're a
Ooh.
unit. We need to work together.
Yeah.
This is how the house functions for us as a family.
Yes.
um but it was really a hard sell. It probably took my husband about 3 or 4 years to understand fully that it is literally you and me
Yeah.
and then everybody else.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah.
If me and you are not on the same page,
Yes.
everything else is going to fall.
Yeah.
And I think it ended up being our therapist that said, hey, your kids don't come before your wife
Yes.
ever.
Wow.
She
Yes.
said, "Because if it's death do your part, it's death do your part. Them kids ain't gonna be there at the end.
Yeah.
Your spouse is gonna be there at the end because
Yeah.
kids are gonna be having their own life, doing their
That's
own
true.
thing,
I know. Mm-hmm.
So then it started to kind of, started to break down some walls, after that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but again, when my baby passed, I said, "Oh no!" I said the energy that I was putting into making this whole thing flow and that person's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, "She's dead. I'm sorry. We gonna have to get to know each other all over again now." I just think, you know, the society has just put mothers, in that kind of, I don't know, burning the candle at both
You
ends.
know what?
Hey,
And I'm
you
gonna tell
know.
you this. I learned this too, and I'm still learning it. If
Mhm.
I am to be perfectly honest and transparent, God don't need my help.
Ain't that the truth?
He doesn't, Luana. He doesn't need my help, and I know it. But for the life of me, honestly, there are times
We can't get out our own way. We cannot get out the way.
His word tells us, "My yoke is easy,
Right.
burden is light." Why are you carrying? You're not equipped for that. You're not equipped to carry it. Give it to
Yes.
me. Give it to me. Trust me, and just walk in that direction, knowing I got this. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But
Yeah.
I'm all in the midst. I want to be the perfect little stepmom. I
Can't
want
even
to
lie and say I had that thought. I never had that thought. I was like, look, this is what I got to give, I'm never going to harm them. I'm
yeah,
always going to have their best interests in mind.
yeah,
But
so
I
good.
am not a kumbaya type mom. Let's get on the floor. Let's
Yeah,
do some arts and crafts or
yeah.
some figure painting. That's not who I am.
You know
I'm a
what?
mom that's like, let
That's
me teach
fine.
you the skills to take care of yourself.
That's so fine.
And I will go pick up
Say,
friends for you to play with because you don't play with me.
yeah.
You know?
Well, you know what? Let me tell you,
But,
that is such a great place to be in, Luana, when you know who you are.
mm-hmm.
Because so many of us are trying to be who we're not.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to keep everything harmoniously balanced.
Mm-mm. I've been a fish out of water since I've been
It don't
born.
work.
My mom
It don't
ain't know
work.
what to do with this child she had. She's like,
Oh,
Jesus, what is my mom 18 and I'll come out like a full adult.
wow.
She's like, go out and play. I was like, no, comb my hair. I want you to comb my hair and my clothes need to be ironed. I can't go outside.
Always a
Yeah, it's like, you
always.
can go outside, Lil just go and play. I'll comb your hair later. I was like, what?
Oh, wow.
My poor mom, I used to change clothes 5 times a day. If I get any dirt on me, it's coming off.
Oh, my God.
My mom was like you're on my nerves. Like you're doing too much.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I was just a little person just came out. The Lord knew my assignment. He got me ready.
Yes, I love it.
But let's transition into, I know you talked a lot about your faith. Um, let's talk a little bit about, because we only got a limited amount time left. So I want to talk about some things that you wanted to talk about. Oh, and I have to read your quote because it's a very good quote. It says, I wanted to share my story because I know there are people out there who are in the middle of their own pain right now. feeling like their loss defines them. I want them to understand that what feels like an ending can actually be the most beautiful beginning. My journey through divorce taught me that healing is about going back to who you were, but about discovering who you're meant to be. And I think, I mean, I know for myself that rings true. Because all the things I'm doing now are literally what I told God, like, oh, I would want to do that one day. Oh, that might be fun one day. Oh, and
Yeah.
it's like he's just going down the list and checking off my boxes.
I love
Okay,
it.
you want to be a school counselor? Cool. You want to be a therapist? Cool. You want to work at a university? Cool. Got it. Here you go. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, but
and
giving ourselves permission to be who we were
mhm,
meant to be.
so true. Step
Yes,
into your greatness.
yes, yes. That is just so it. And
Yeah.
that's something that I'm really trying to teach my children for sure.
Mhm,
And that is every closed door is not the end of your story. You know,
mhm,
it
mhm,
truly can be the beginning of a new story, one that just transforms your life in ways that you can't even imagine. But we have to be open to receive. So often we come to life like this, closed minded,
mhm,
oh,
mhm,
going back to what I was saying before about this
mhm,
new opportunity that I have been doing through my beauty platform. I mean, there was no way you could have told me that I would have ended up doing this. But because of a roadblock, because of, you know, being in a real dark period called divorce,
mhm,
you
mhm,
know, I almost had to try something different. You know
mhm,
what I mean? And that set me on the road of just really transforming my life in
mhm,
ways that I just never could have imagined. So um, I just think a lot of times that when dark times come,
mhm,
you know what I mean? We just have to
mhm.
trust the process, that it's not the end. It,
Yeah.
it's just so hard, but nothing that God does is wasted. That's the
Mhm,
other lesson that I have learned. Nothing is
mhm,
wasted. So my conversation may be like, just help me to understand,
mhm, mhm,
to
mhm,
get it. And I don't want to
mhm,
miss it because I know
mhm,
that nothing He does is wasted.
mhm,
How is this being used for my good? Because your word tells me that all things come
mhm.
that work together for the good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not that all things are good. That's not what He said.
We're like, we know they ain't good.
We,
Yeah,
yeah, all
it's
things are
just,
good.
I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't know. I just kept, I know when my darkest hour, because I can't really say the divorce was the darkest. It's
Yeah.
probably more eye opening for me. Just
Yeah.
realizing how very little, people may even care about what's going on or whatever. So it's probably
Mhm.
more eye opening for me to realize that a lot of my connections were not authentic,
Yes.
and we weren't really doing that deep work that you do when when you
Right.
want to be closer to somebody, whether it's
Mhm.
your sister or whether it's your guy, and people just weren't
Well,
pouring
Wayna,
in, weren't listening, weren't getting to know, didn't
I
have a
get it. I
didn't
get it. And you
that
know
kind
what?
of.
That was a lesson that I learned early on about just not being able to depend on people, trust people, the
Yeah,
lack of authenticity, not being able to be there for me when I really needed it. That
yeah.
that that was such a hurtful
Mhm,
disappointment in my life. But
mhm.
it's what strengthened my faith. It is. And I feel like had those things not happened, I would have depended more on man. Oh, bless you.
You
Bless you,
think.
bless you. I
Mhm.
would have depended more on man than I would on
On
God.
the Lord, yeah.
I would have.
Yeah.
Because the darkest period in my life was when my mom died at 59, which
Young
was
woman.
so young to lose
Yeah.
her. And I was so close to my mom. And
Oh,
and and,
wow.
and I say this
Mhm.
with all reverence and due respect. My mother at that time was really my God. I went to her for
Mm,
everything. She
mm.
was my answer to everything. She
Mhm, mhm,
provided. the help and support that I needed. You know what I'm
That
saying?
is so beautiful.
Yeah. And but when she
Yeah.
passed, I didn't,
Did you
I didn't
breathe?
know how
You
to
know,
function. And that was kind of the beginning
of
of
learning.
my faith.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And all the
I'm with you.
disappointments along the way with people.
Hmm.
And there God was saying,
Yeah,
I'm forever
I'm
always.
enough.
I,
I'm enough. Yeah.
I am. Yeah, I never change. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, definitely. I don't know.
hmm,
I've always had a kind of it can't hurt attitude.
yeah.
Like like I could try this. It can't hurt. I can try
Mm,
anything for an hour, you know.
wow.
Or
Love that.
hey, I go talk to this person. What's the worst thing that they can say to me?
Yeah.
You know, because I kind of just forced myself to do it. Like, you got
Right.
this job when my son was little, like as you're saying. I just got a divorce. I
Uh-huh.
got to carry this load. My This is my program, this employment program, so it
Uh-huh.
has to be
Uh-huh.
successful. So I can't lose my job. So I got to go harder.
Wow.
So I went to a career fair and talked to every person in there, regardless if they can help me or not. I just like I got to get
Amazing.
comfortable with talking to people that I don't know. Period.
I love that. Honestly. And you don't
Yeah.
really know how exceptional that is.
Mhm.
Because honestly, I mean, fear is so powerful and holds us back.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
From being our best selves
Mhm.
in so many situations. And we all know
Definitely.
fear is nothing but an acronym for false evidence appearing real.
I love it. I
It
love it, and
is.
it's so
Mhm.
true. I don't know. The only fear I probably had in my life mostly was, I always had a feeling that I was gonna die young.
Wow. Yeah.
So I pushed my oldest super, super hard,
Mm,
'cause I may not be here
hmm.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
I need you to be able to think. You gotta think your way out of a
Wow.
situation. You cannot react. You
Hmm.
gotta look at every situation. You gotta think about all the ways it can go bad. So
Wow.
you keep yourself safe, you know,
Yes.
because our
Yes.
boys, we're like, it's gonna be some situations I'm not gonna be there,
Absolutely. Oh my
and
gosh.
you gotta
Yeah,
think. And I'm
yeah,
like,
you're speaking
you
my
you a
language
tall
now.
black man, you're 6'3". You gotta slow down and think in every situation. And he
Yeah.
does it. He's gotten himself probably out of more than I know, he would share
Wow.
with me.
Yeah. Just very
But
level
that's the
headed. It
thought I
sounds.
had.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when my baby son passed, I said, "Oh, that's why I've been having this feeling for 20 years." You
Yes.
know?
Preparing you for that day.
Yeah, for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how the
Yeah.
Lord is. He's so gracious like
Yeah.
that. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Because even my cousin, who was like my sister, when she passed, I saw her. I saw her in a casket. I was putting
Wow.
on her makeup, and I saw her in a casket, and I said,
Wow.
"Dang!" I said, "Dang." Because she was sick, so I knew she had diabetes real bad. So
Yeah.
I was just like, dang, so 7 months later, and it's kind of same thing with my son. Seven
Mm.
months later, it happened. I had a vision in January.
Wow.
7 months later. So, and I just
Mm.
said, thank you, God. I said, because he knew I couldn't handle maybe them doing a slow death.
Yes, I do. I do.
So, I said, so he took her right away. And I said, because he's so gracious. So that was me at the funeral. I'm the
Mm.
only one bawling. Nobody else is bawling. I
Yeah.
said, she my, that's my everything. And he knew. So he just took her in a flash. I said, I
Wow.
think he did that to protect me. I don't know about y'all. But the Lord we serve is just a gracious, gracious God like that.
Amen.
Even in the
Amen. Yep.
midst, even in the midst. He'll
Yep.
give you the confidence to direct a room when your baby casket is right there.
Yes.
He's like, you
Yes.
can do this. This isn't hard. I watched my son die, so
Yes. Wow.
so that's kind of how I took it.
Yeah.
Who
Wow,
am I?
Wayna. What you talk about resilience. What
Mm-hmm.
resilience. What faith.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 I know my whole,
Put it
I'm
heavy
based
too.
kind of reality. Like we don't get to choose.
Right.
So
Huh.
if you're a believer and you believe what they say, then why are you the one in this church on the ground?
Yeah. Wow.
You know.
Yeah.
We supposed to show everybody else how good he is,
Yes, indeed, honey.
that even in the midst of my son passing, that I said, to God be the glory. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying?
I'm gonna tell you
Mhm.
something, and I learned this later in life. I know my poor uh team is so sick of hearing me say it, but it's so true. that we truly, truly become like the 5 people we hang around with the most.
Oh, I say that everybody.
We
It,
do, and so you have to guard that
yeah.
circle, and I'm listening to your wisdom, listening to your resiliency, your faith,
Mm-hmm.
um, how, um, circumstances, situations, the passing of your son has transformed your life, how
Mm-hmm.
you're using those situations to bring value to other people. You are doing things that brings value to other people through your
Mm-hmm.
darkness. And I'm telling you, if we those are the kind of people I want to be around
I hear you.
because they make me better.
Say
And
iron
if
sharpens
we could
iron.
use, yeah, our
Yeah.
darkness
Yeah.
to bring value to other people.
So
OMG.
sadly, I use it in a monetary because I feel people can grab a hold of that a lot quicker.
Mm,
So if
mhm,
the 5 people you spend the most time with
mhm.
determines your lifetime income.
Oh yeah. Oh, that works too.
So
Oh, absolutely.
I tell them that and they can automatically click that. Wait a
I'm
minute,
with you.
one friend ain't working,
I'm
this
with
friend
you.
ain't working, this friend is not living up to her
There
potential.
you
Wait a
go.
minute. So I'm gonna be broke my whole life?
Hello. Too. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's what you're thinking, it's how you think, it's the words that you say. All of that equates to at some point income. So if I'm
Oh, yeah,
around
yeah, yeah.
like-minded people, you know what I mean,
Mhm.
that may be smarter than me, that may be think bigger than me.
Ain't that the truth?
I like it because
Love of people that
oh
teach me something and
yes.
show me something and unless it's this social media stuff, because this thing just moves at the speed of
Yeah.
light. I'm like,
Okay.
there's always something new, a new trend. And I was like, I'm not trendy. Okay.
Right.
So I had to
Right.
tell my little 30-year-old social media people, like, hey, my target audience is actually not your age.
Right. Right. Oh my
I
goodness.
like seasoned people.
Yeah.
But bless them, diversity helps us
Yeah. Yeah,
all.
honey.
And so
Yes.
just thinking about your team of women that you mentor, that you coach,
Yes.
um, you have your PMS. So tell us about that.
Thank you, Wayna. Man, I love this platform that we have created. It truly was the breakthrough. I was doing a pampering event at a local church, and for the
Mhm,
life of me, I can't remember the name of the church
mhm,
or the young lady, but I still have to give credit. And they were having a PMS event, a Pamper Myself event.
mhm, mhm,
And they invited me to come in and to pamper the ladies, and it was awesome. We had a great time. I made some great connections. And so I said, PMS, I really like that. I wonder how I can use that in my business. And so instead of the pamper myself, which I am a huge advocate for,
mhm,
I changed it to say pamper my sisters.
mhm,
And women can relate to PMS because
mhm.
most of us are heading toward PMS. We're in the middle of PMS or we're exiting PMS. We're somewhere on that spectrum.
Never though. I've never had any of that
Oh, good for you.
until
Good for you.
I had a child in my 40s.
Yeah,
Now I have all of it,
there you go.
all of it, all.
It's going to
Yeah, all
find
of
us one way or another, usually.
it. Dodged this my entire life. Now I'm 43 and I'm like,
My
I'm
goodness.
chewing my husband's head off. And
Uh,
then 2 days
uh,
later, I'm like, oh, sorry.
no,
Yeah. Like,
the way we were made, you know.
it's hurtful.
Yes, I mean, that's the reason
Never
why
mind.
we have to practice more
Yeah.
self care.
Yeah.
Wayna, you have
Yeah.
touched on it. And so, what we do, me and my team, we
Mhm,
host monthly events.
mhm.
Our PMS events, they always have a theme. It's
Uh-huh.
Pamper My Sisters.
Uh-huh.
This month's theme was Love is in Bloom. February
Mhm.
is the love month. We want to love on each other, love on
Mhm.
ourselves. We are
Yeah.
launching our new spring line of skincare and beauty products. So we're allowing others to come in and just play
Mm.
with them and make themselves up or do a
Mhm.
self-directed facial and hand treatment, lip treatments. It's just a wonderful
Oh,
afternoon
that.
of self-care and pampering.
Yeah.
So our next one is the 22nd of this month.
Nice. Nice. So do you have it at your location? Is your location still in Westport?
Mhm. Well, not in Westport now. We're
Okay.
on in Bridgeton now on
Okay.
the Rock Road where my beauty studio is. Yeah, and I've been there
Nice.
since way before COVID, so it
That'd
has
be
been a while. Since, yeah,
fun.
you and
I
I
gotta
have.
connect you to some people that might help. Do some networking and
That
connect
would
you to
be
the other lady.
awesome.
Let's see. So we're talking about self-care and how that's hugely important. And myself, as you know, I worked as a HR manager, so constantly talking about your staff about
Yeah.
self-care.
Yes.
And I had a staff during COVID, so that's all we talked about. Each week I
Wow.
met with a different group of people. How are you dealing with this COVID? How is your family? Are you okay? Let's
Wow.
talk about it,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
but then I find more, of course, you talked about wanting to get better because you had some deaths and things like that.
Hmm.
And so I know for my family, 2023 was, I think we had like 9 deaths in our family. It was
Oh.
crazy.
Mm,
With my son being the youngest at 3, it was just it was crazy because most of my relatives live to they 86,
mm.
96, long lives, and then to have so many of our relatives
Wow.
die at 50 and at 60, we just never experienced that, so everybody
Right.
was just kind of you know uh working overtime, body X, and a lot of our bodies during that time.
Hmm.
So just talking about self-care, it just comes up in every part of life.
Yeah.
It comes up with grief, self-care, you just forget. You
Yeah.
you get into survival mode. I gotta do this, I gotta check all the box, and don't realize that you haven't taken any time for yourself. And I've been talking to people about self-care for the last 2 weeks because everybody this seasonal depression, I guess,
Oh my God. Absolutely. You know
so
what?
people are just feeling it.
I was at a senior community yesterday hosting a pampering event, and I tell you,
Mhm.
nothing was more rewarding
Oh, I
because
bet.
because honestly, it was almost like pulling teeth though to get them to come out of their apartments. I'm just like,
Mhm,
and I'm the one. I'm like, come on. And they were
mhm.
so glad they did. But
Oh,
you know
wonderful.
what? Let me tell you something. We were meant for community. We were
Yes,
not meant
yes,
for
yes,
isolation. We weren't.
yes,
And so I
yes.
love the fact I often take my beauty platform, my pampering
Mhm.
events to the workplace, to the work environment. I love
Ooh,
doing that.
I'm thinking about that right now. Like,
Oh,
ooh,
I,
I
I
should
I
have a
love it.
day for my students to come in,
Yeah,
and
I will.
it could be self-care something, and
Oh,
let us pamper you,
we'll come up with
or whatever.
something real cute.
Yeah,
I'm telling you
we
because
will.
listen, I'm
So we
telling
gotta
you.
put some stuff in the making because that would be super cute. Um But self-care is important, and
Yeah.
so we're talking about, we're gonna leave it on that topic of self-care, and if there was one thing, any final words of encouragement that you wanna leave with our listeners, you wanna leave with anybody that has been in any of the situations that we're talking
Oh,
about?
I
Um
just love this. I just really reflecting back on our conversation that we've talked about and the importance of self care and all of that.
Mhm.
I just think that everything begins with you. It really
Mm.
does. I
Mhm.
feel like personally focusing on self care is the greatest gift that we can
Mm.
give to not only ourselves but to
Mhm.
others.
Mhm.
Because when you look good, you feel. And when you feel good, it's so easy to add value to other people's lives. So it,
Mhm.
it is so about just taking advantage of every opportunity that there is to
Mhm.
practice self-care. And it can be on, very small scales. It
Mhm.
doesn't have to be on these huge, grandiose platforms where you do these elaborate and trips, which is wonderful.
Mhm. Mhm.
But literally, it could be something as simple as taking a 15-minute walk, listening
Mhm.
to your favorite podcast by
Mhm.
Wayna.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Female Voices,
You
Life and
know,
Loss.
there you go.
What I wanted to add though, and I love you talking about sharing with people and with self care and making sure they keep that as a habit. What I thought about as well as self care is just keeping when you have healthy boundaries. You know what I'm
Woo.
saying? Those are huge because you teach people how to treat
Huge.
you. So
Yes.
even just being intentional, like you said, I'm a person of my word, so I want to,
Yes.
having your values and making sure that everyone around you aligns with those
Right.
values and
Oh,
with
that's so
where
good.
you want your life to go. And sometimes self-care could be breaking off that relationship, that's toxic. Those relatives that just don't
Wow.
pour into you or your children. So
That's
self
powerful, Wayna.
those so many ways that you have to kind of protect this
You
peace
hit
that I
that.
found that the Lord allowed me to have.
Wow, that's so good. That's so
So,
good. I'm gonna tell you
mhm,
something. That
mhm.
that that just triggers something. My daughter, um, to me, is one of the best people at creating healthy boundaries.
Oh,
And we
tell me about
think
her.
we
Mhm.
really think as parents that we have all the answers and we're the first teacher our children ever get, and that's all true.
Yeah, but we're
But
learning at the same
school
time.
is never out for the
We ain't never
pros.
did
And
it again.
I'm
We ain't never
telling you,
did this.
I'm telling you, school is never out for the pros. You
Mhm.
know, we're always learning. We stop learning, we stop growing. But
Yeah.
I just love the way she really sets very healthy boundaries for herself.
Mhm.
She respectfully does not allow people to very often, if ever, cross those boundaries.
I love it.
And
Mhm.
and and I have learned so much from her doing that.
That is
So you
beautiful.
that was huge what you said. Healthy
Mhm.
boundaries and self-care doesn't always come in the form of taking care of yourself physically. But
Right,
in
right. We gotta hit
ridding
all of them.
getting rid of toxic
Yeah.
thinking
Yeah, you gotta
and
hit them all
relationships
physically,
and
emotionally,
habits.
mentally, you
Yes.
gotta have them kinda everywhere. I
Oh,
love
that's so
that
good.
you said that you can learn from your daughter,
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Because I don't know that kids often hear their parents,
Oh my
saying,
gosh.
"Hey, this is what I learned from you. This is what you taught me."
Yes.
And how beautiful is it to see your little human being this beautiful person,
Oh my
you know what I'm
gosh.
saying? It is just amazing, and it's
I'm
just one of
telling you.
those ways that God just smiles on you when He allows you to
It
see, like you
is.
said, the fruit of I work real hard, and you guys are picking it up, and you got it, and you're gonna be good,
They
you
hit it.
know?
And
So
I would
if I leave
encourage
this
all.
world tomorrow, there's
Go ahead.
nothing. I have zero regrets, you know what
Wow.
I'm saying, about how I lived this time
Yeah.
here.
So
And that's
good.
kind of where I want to leave that at. So, how can people connect with you? How can they learn about you?
You know what? I am on Instagram at Class with Carol on
Mhm.
Instagram.
Mhm.
I'm on Facebook, uh,
Mhm.
Carol Fletcher. Those are the platforms that we use now,
Mhm.
right? These
Yeah,
are
yeah, yeah.
this social media platform. But yeah, message me.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
we talk. DM me. Oh, IG. All of
Yeah,
that good
it's too
stuff.
many things to watch. I'm just like, yeah, it's too many. I'm not young anymore. I'm not young and spirited.
Yes. Absolutely. I
But
love forming,
uh,
I love groups of positive
me too.
connections.
It's so enriching for
Yeah.
my soul. Like it's just gives me a lift the whole week, when I get to
Same
hang
here,
out
honey.
with some beautiful people like yourself.
Thank
So
you.
we want
Thank
to
you.
thank Miss Carol Ann Fletcher
Thank you, sweetheart, for
for being
having
with
me. What an
us and just
honor.
sharing us with so much wisdom and just being so vulnerable,
Yeah.
talking about, the journey that she's taken.
Yeah.
And as we can tell, the Lord ain't done with her yet. She still got some more work to do.
That's
So
right.
connect with her on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram. She's on all of those. She will help you with your skincare needs, your beauty needs, if you want to get fancy for an event, or just some mentoring on how, you can be a phenomenal female entrepreneur.
Yes.
So until next time, thank you guys for tuning in with us. Thank you for spending this time with us, and we will see you soon. Stay well.
you for joining us on this episode of Female Voices Life and Loss. We hope today's conversation brought you comfort, insight, and a sense of community. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you found this episode helpful, please share it with others who might need it. Stay connected, stay resilient, and until next time, keep growing and healing.